bring a sweater? I don't have one in my car.
All right, everybody, we're going to get started here. My name is John Scott with Active Claremont, and I'm glad to welcome you to Active Claremont's May 2026 Speaker Series meeting. We've got a real good one on tap for you tonight. We've got three excellent speakers, sage speakers, on the history of Route 66, not only locally, but throughout the entire route from Chicago all the way out here. It's going to be not only entertaining, but informative, and I promise it's going to be a good one. Without further ado, we could just rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, or kick off the meeting. Please face the flag, hand over. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Active Claremont, in the year 2026, has sought to recognize community engagement and volunteerism each month. And we've found that to be a pretty good thing to add to our meeting format. Tonight we have two acknowledgments. The first being our local Boy Scout troop leader, John Campbell, who is going to be representing 4 Boy Scout troops in the community. John, if you're going to come on. And tell the audience a little bit about what's going on here with the Scouts in Claremont.
Every year, the first Sunday in November, the Claremont Lewis Museum of Art holds an event at the Patrick Hills Theater. And this event's a redux of an event that took place in the 50s. And the Scouts help out in that event by helping the various artists that sell their wares at this event set up their booths. And so we spend from 8 o'clock in the morning or 7:30 until the show opens at 11. A couple of the artists carry everything from the parking lot. And then we come back at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and help everybody put everything away and stuff.
Yeah, it's all good. We appreciate what you do. That's a great event, and you helped make it happen. On behalf of Active Claremont and the city of Claremont, we are going to award this to your troops here. And if you get us the individual names of some of those that participated there, we'll get them one as well. So,
Hey, John, two Johns, one word, we got to get a good picture here. Yeah, thank you. There we go. Let's see your good side.
you're pushing it narrow. He knows that one. Our second acknowledgement is actually I've got some notes on introducing you, because there's a little bit I want to add here, because I don't want to miss anything. So I'm going to just say that basically you, Charles Phoenix, we know, those of you that know of you, you're true original in terms of being a historian, an entertainer, comedian, and just out there expressing the cultural history of not only Route 66, but also Southern California. It's got a real rich cultural history. And so with that, I could go on a little bit more about what that is, but we'd like you to come on up and just say hello to the audience here.
All righty.
Charles Phoenix.
Hi, everybody. I have a loud voice, so you can hear me. So I am a new resident to Claremont, and not to be confused with Montclair. So I grew up in Ontario. Everything was fine. We used to come to the Claremont Art Fair all the time. My mother bought 1 million pieces of pottery there and paintings, like in the 70s and all that. Some of you might remember that. And then I thought it would be a good idea for me to move to Los Angeles. So I did, and everything was fine and dandy. And then comes the day, it's time to leave. Where am I going to go? Well, I mean, I don't know how it all happened, but the suns and the stars and the moons aligned me with this, the greatest, best kept secret in all the land.
Yeah.
Claremont. I know. Where do we begin to behold the glory of all the wonderful things about this city? I mean, I just can't even say enough. I mean, you know, I try to explain it to my friends back in LA and stuff, kind of half wanting them to move here and half not. You know, because we want to, you know, it's like, and there's parking at Trader Joe's. So anyway, basically, I mean, I'll keep it short, right? I mean, we're not here for too long. You've got a presentation. The floor is mine. So I'm just thrilled to be part of this community. It has been a very welcoming community, and I just feel like, I mean, seriously, I hit the jackpot by somehow landing in absolutely the best city to live in all of Southern California. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
You know, we could be here until eternity talking about it, but I'll cut it short. And thank you so much
For
for
brightening our lives and moving here to Claremont.
Oh.
We won't be searching for, you know, any exceptional volunteerism, but we want to acknowledge you.
Get it here. Thank you
In the
so
city
much.
of Claremont here.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Next up, I'd like to bring up our Councilman Cord Kalaikai to help introduce a few of the dignitaries that are sprinkled and hiding throughout the audience. Cord.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in light of the fact today that we had Brian Brown, where are you, Mr. Brown? Brian Brown come out, and he didn't, you know, I think of all the speakers we've ever had for this organization, he traveled from out of state. And so that's really impressive. And the fact that, thank you. He's been working really hard, and you'll hear more about his project in the presentation, to get coordinated signs throughout all of the cities from Chicago to Santa Monica. So I didn't want him to waste his time just for one organization, especially since Claremont is signed on. You know, I wanted to make sure he had the opportunity to reach out to some of the cities who have yet to hear about his project. And so, notwithstanding the fact that this is the best city in Southern California, I have some colleagues and other representatives of other cities that are great cities in Southern California that I'd like to introduce to you. Beginning well, let's go to the very far west. We have a representative from the city of Arcadia. We have Candace Chung. From the great city of Monrovia, we have the mayor, Becky Shevlin.
Best city. And awesome museum that has tribute to your city. Come and visit us.
And from my kind of town, Duarte, we have Councilmember and also a several-time Mayor Margaret Finlay.
With both of them.
Let's keep it going. And then from the city of Glendora, pride of the foothills, we have the mayor, David Friedendahl. He's not going to join in the debate. No need to debate. Did we have a representative arrive from Pomona? Somebody told me they were coming from Pomona. They might be running late, but I'm expecting someone from Pomona. But all the way to the east, representing Councilmember Scott, who unfortunately had a city council meeting tonight, so she couldn't be here herself. But she sent from their staff, Justine, here from the city of Rancho Cucamonga. And then just to acknowledge from our best city, my colleague Ed Reese, and our city manager Adam Peary. Did I miss anyone? Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Enjoy the program. Thank you.
Okay, first up in our trio of speakers, our very own Joe Pareca, who will be sharing
All right, I'm going to try to stand in front of the camera because as the camera person, I always get annoyed when the speakers wander, so I'm going to try to take my own advice and just stand in front of everyone here. My name is Joe, and I am a local real estate agent, but tonight I come to you as the local resident car guy. Automotive has been a huge part of my life, really for the last greater than 10 years. Most people don't know, but before I got into real estate, I opened my own automotive shop at the ripe age of 22. Didn't last very long. That's okay, that's okay, because it ignited a passion in me in cars. And I remember the first vehicle that I purchased was a bad decision. And I remember I was with my friends and we were working on this car in the driveway. And from that time forward, I thought to myself, this is awesome. I love doing this. I love fixing things. I love repairing things. I love improving things. So fast forward several years and a couple project cars later, and a couple years ago, I decided to start Claremont Cars and Coffee. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what a Cars and Coffee is, but it is essentially a mix between a car meet and a car show. So it's very informal, there's no registration, all cars are welcome, all people are welcome, all vehicles are welcome, even dogs are welcome, and it's a great way to spend the morning. So why am I telling you about my Cars and Coffee? I'm glad you asked. So we are doing a huge event in June, and what we're doing is we're partnering with the Claremont Chamber of Commerce, we're partnering with Claremont Heritage, and we are having a Claremont Cars and Coffee Route 66 Revisited, and it's going to be an extra special oh, thank you.
There we go. Now we're professionals. Good. That's good. Thank you, Corey. So on June 20th, and there's flyers in the back, we're going to be having a very special Claremont Cars and Coffee. It is the biggest, longest, and baddest one we've ever done, and I'm very excited to bring it all to you. Again, it is open to everyone, so just because it has Claremont in the name, and yes, we are the best city, but just because it has Claremont in the name doesn't mean it's just Claremont people. So if you have friends or family from all over the place, if they have any type of vehicle, import, domestic, muscle car, supercar, classic American, pre-war, we do not care what it is. We just want to see it. We have free coffee, free donuts, free raffle prizes. There's going to be live music this month, and then right after the event, we're going to be having a barbecue as well. So there's going to be a lot of good stuff to look forward to. You know, car culture is woven into the fabric of Southern California, as much as we like to maybe admit it or not. But cars are really important, and given the fact that it's the 100th anniversary of Route 66, boy, what a better way to celebrate than with a great group of cars. So I invite you all to come out June 20th. It's local here in Claremont at Granite Creek Community Church. Now, for those of you that don't know right where that is, it is right by the Claremont Club. So Monte Vista Baseline, that area, so not too far from here. No registration required. Everybody is welcome to show up. And I encourage you all to come out, enjoy the cars. It's always a great morning. It's a wonderful setting, and we just have a lot of fun. So it's going to be June 20th. If you would like more information, I will happily talk your ear off about Cars and Coffee. So just come up, flag me down, I'll happily talk to you. And you can also visit us on our Instagram. That's where we have all the most up-to-date stuff. You can also join our mailing list, our email list, if Instagram isn't your thing. So please join us at Claremont Cars and Coffee, June 20th. We do it every month, but the June 20th one is going to be a special Route 66 edition. I would love to see all of you guys there, and if you have a car or know someone that has a classic car, vintage car, or just a car that they love, have them bring it out. We'd love to see you guys there. Thanks for your time.
Show them the back of your shirt.
Oh,
Joe.
there it is.
Great shirt.
There it is.
I've got one. Next up, we have John Nyber. He's with Claremont Heritage, and he's going to be sharing perspectives on Route 66, et cetera, as to the local scene. Here you go, Joe.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Okay, John Nyber, President of the Board of Claremont Heritage. I also write the history column for the Courier, and I have the pleasure of serving as the chair of the city's Architectural and Preservation Commission too. So, and then a bunch of other things that I just want to mention now. So, anyway, I put together this little presentation for you on Route 66. So, as Abraham Lincoln once said, my job is to talk, your job is to listen, hopefully and at the same time. Okay, Route 66. Arguably the best 2.2 miles of all of Route 66. So, the birth of a highway. Route 66 just wasn't planned out and just put together, you know, in one large road. What happened was cobbled together, okay? And in the early days, most of the nationwide network were auto trails that were done by local associations. People promoting, and a lot of car dealerships, you know, to promote automobile travel. So it was put together with the Lone Star route that went from Brownsville, Texas to Chicago. The Transcontinental National Old Trails Road that detoured portions of the Ozark Trails and the Postal Highway system, and then back to the National Old Trails Road from about Amarillo, Texas to Los Angeles. And so they were all kind of cobbled together into this highway, right, that was kind of unmarked at the time, to make Route 66. So this is a map of the Lone Star route. And I know you can't see it, but I thought it was a good visual. The old postal road system, and the postal routes were really important to the early part of the nation. It all started with basically the Boston route, Boston to New York to get the mail. And so all these roads were developed, and then over time they came together so that the mail could be delivered, because it was too slow in those days. And then the transcontinental route, okay, which you'll recognize. It actually doesn't, this one doesn't dip down into Texas yet. So, but Springfield, Missouri, which I'm sure Brian will talk more about, okay, on April 30th, 1926, at 4 p.m., a telegram was sent from the Colonial Hotel to Washington requesting the highway be designated as Route 66. Now, this is really important because until that time, it was Route 62. And of course, you can't get your kicks on Route 62, right? So they thought, all these guys, these businessmen got together and said, let's make it Route 66. That sounds a lot better. And of course, for Bobby Troup, that turned out to be a good song, right? So anyway, on April 30th of this year at 4 p.m., the exact time the telegram was sent from Springfield, they dedicated Birthplace Plaza at the corner of Jefferson Avenue and St. Louis Street on the site where the Colonial Hotel once stood. And that kind of kicked off the celebration, and I'm sure Brian was involved with that. So. And this is the original road sign for Route 66. This is what they look like. And then today, this is what we know as Route 66. And how many of you have traveled on Route 66? Yeah, it's great. I did as a child, 10 years old, in my parents' 57 Ford Fairlane to go to Wisconsin. And of course, we left at 10 o'clock at night, so the car would overheat badly in the desert. Because we had no air conditioning, and of course we had those canvas water bags stuck to the front grill. And it was terrible. Later on, I used to be a big sports car fan, and so I had many sports cars when I was still young enough to be able to get into them. And so I took my wife and we traveled the old route of Route 66. And I mean, sometimes we would travel for miles and find that the road was closed. But it was great. I made her have her picture in front of every roadside attraction I could find, and to this day she's still embarrassed by that. So, recognize these lyrics. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair, obviously not mine. Warm smell of colitas rising up in the air. Up ahead in the distance, I saw a shimmering light. My head grew heavy and my sight grew dim. I had to stop for the night. So Don Felder of the Eagles says that was the inspiration, was Route 66. And that shimmering light was Los Angeles way out in the distance. This is the intersection in Claremont of Indian Hill Boulevard and Mesa Avenue, now known today as Foothill Boulevard. And this is what it looked like in the early days. You had gasoline, ice cream, all kinds of stuff, candies at the store there. And in those days, this was unpaved, like almost all of Route 66. was unpaved. In fact, it wasn't until 1938 that the entire road was paved. But this is basically the historic corner of Route 66 in Claremont, and Brian will address that one a little bit later too. Now, there wouldn't be any Foothill Boulevard if it wasn't for the shameless self-promotion of Frank Wheeler. And his ancestor Paul's here today to attest to that. So when you came into Claremont, and you notice that's the high school in the background there, okay? It's where the old schoolhouse is today. When it was 3 stories, that's not the whole story. This is Claremont, the hub of the Citrus Belt, the home of Claremont Colleges and a Frank Wheeler realtor. Maybe Jeff Hamill could take a cue from this. Anyway, Frank got together within the mayor of San Bernardino and promoted a northern route, state route, of Foothill Boulevard. And they fought because Pomona and Ontario were trying to get this to be a southern route. And this is what actually became Route 30, okay? And everybody goes, well, that was baseline. Well, no, in the early days, it was Foothill Boulevard, okay? And then we know it was Route 30 along baseline, and then Route 30 became the 210 freeway, right? And Route 30 went away. But they did all kinds of things to promote the northern route. Just like early days, Henry Rawson Palmer, the father of Claremont, promote Santa Fe Railroad coming through Claremont and taking that away from Pomona and Ontario also. So in 1914, they entered a Rose Parade float to promote the route through Claremont, Foothill Boulevard Association. And then in 1931, it was completely paved, and they had the opening ceremony in January of 1931. And you can see it was a big deal. And then a couple years later, Los Angeles Times touted it as being one of the most beautiful designed routes. So take that, all the rest of you cities. And you know who this was designed by? The famous landscape architect Ralph Cornell, who designed the Marston Quad at Pomona, UCLA, University of Hawaii, La Jolla Preservation Park in La Jolla. Very famous landscape architect. And you're going to notice that you can see that there's a main road down the middle, and on either side there's frontage roads. Well, we still have a remnant of that design in front of the School of Theology and the California Botanic Garden. And that was what was envisioned for the entire route through Claremont. And a sign from the early days of Route 66 through Claremont. And of course, the landmarks along Route 66 in Claremont, Wolf's Market. The Oxford Inn. You'll notice the mountains in the background. It was probably located about where Oxford Avenue would be on Foothill Boulevard today. And it got torn down years ago. So I think after Griswold's came in. Another rendition of the Oxford Inn when they had the second story. And then you'll notice this is Sotheby's, right? Well, it was Saunders Studio Press. It was a press, and that's where everybody went to get their printing done. Still there today. In the old schoolhouse. It had 3 stories when it was built. But in the Long Beach earthquake, many of the buildings and schools collapsed in Long Beach. And so out of caution, Claremont took off the 3rd story. Because with 3-story buildings, it collapsed. Except the thing was, this was all wood framed. It wasn't brick like the ones in Long Beach. So they were not quite right about that. And of course, later on, when it became the old schoolhouse, commercial building. And of course, Charles talked about this, the art shows that we used to all go to. At Griswold's, in the old schoolhouse. Those were great. and then today. And of course, that's what's great, because as long as you keep adaptively reusing your old buildings, it's going to give us a sense of history and a tie to our past. And I've been using this quote a lot recently. It was Arthur Fromer's quote. People simply don't visit a city that has lost its soul. And then Griswold's, but not the Griswold's that you know up where the restaurant was. This was on the south side of the street, east of Indian Hill. And so you could get your fudge and your peanut butter. And of course, there was a big stop along Route 66 in Claremont because of all the canned goods and jellies and jams and things. And this is the building today, still standing. Of course, the facades have changed on these buildings. And then Griswold's Restaurant, which is then, of course, now over on the north side of the street, just west of Indian Hill. And of course, we're here with the smorgasbord. And of course, some happy travelers. For I guess, the Crab Louis luncheon. And of course, today, it's Buca de Beppo. And then my favorite, Orange Julius. They had the best chili dogs ever. I couldn't find a picture of the chili dogs, but I did find a picture of this guy serving up one of their hamburgers. So. And then what's interesting in this next one is you see the guy cleaning the tables, but in the background you can see Griswold's across the street, and then the building in the back, that's the old Griswold's Inn. And then Betsy Ross. Oh, God, Betsy Ross is great, right? You could go there and get the Gettysburger, the Yankee Doodle Dandy Sundae, okay? They had 4 of these. There was one in Upland, one in Claremont, 2 in Pomona. And of course, the inside was to die for. I guess those colors made people hungry, right? And this is what the building looks like today, adaptively reused as an optometry office. Oh, and then we know this building, right? It was the Sterling Oil Company, and they provided all the sprays for the citrus groves for killing insects and things, and all that stuff was really good on our fruit that we ate back then, and nobody cared. Still today is Sherwood Florist. Oh, of course, and the last one was actually when it stopped being used as Sterling Oil Company. It was a car repair shop. It's great, you know, so many of these stone buildings still stand today, and they don't fall down in earthquakes. Do you know why? Because they don't have a foundation. They're put right on the ground, and so they move with the ground during an earthquake. And then down at Mills in Route 66 in Foothill, the kitchen. Later on, Soup's On. And of course, every town had to have novelty architecture. And we had Tugboat Annie's. I'm just waiting for someone, you know, Charles, you should buy this and open a restaurant there. Yeah. Let's talk about that, Charles. Because it's still intact, and boy, wouldn't that be fun? Mm-hmm. Of course, Rancho Santa Ana Botanic Garden, right? Which, California Botanic Garden now. And we just, I don't know if you're familiar with the travel shows by Peter Greenberg, PBS and Prime and all kinds of places. We just filmed a segment here in Claremont with Peter Greenberg, went to the Botanic Garden, and then I had my starring role at the Packing House, so I'm sure it'll be up for an Emmy. But then we have something else that happened on Foothill Boulevard. we had Miller Sheets come along. And this is Miller Sheets Studio. It still stands on Foothill Boulevard. And it's really important because Miller Sheets is an incredible architectural designer and artist, okay? World renowned. You know, you go to Notre Dame and you're in that, you see that Jesus, touchdown Jesus like this? That's Miller Sheets designed that for Notre Dame. And also the Pomona First Federal Building, which is US Bank now. Okay. Masterpiece of modern architecture called New Formalism. Okay. And Miller Sheets did that with all the home savings loans that he did. And then the Methodist Church, designed by none other than really world-renowned Richard Archer. The Claremont School of Theology, Kresge Chapel, masterpiece, designed by Edward Durrell Stone, who also designed Harvey Mudd Campus. And and Edward Durrell Stone was once the world's most famous architect, okay? And he only designed a little building that I like to call the Kennedy Center. He also designed the Aon Center in Chicago, and just many other famous buildings around the world. And today, Foothill Boulevard, Route 66. The sign pays homage to our history, right? The stacked stone, about the stones that were here, that came out of the ground, that built our curbs. The mosaic, which harkens back to Miller Sheets and his contributions. And we don't have those frontage roads, but we sure have those bike lanes. Yes. And now I want to bring up this, our latest masterpiece, which I know a lot of you think, I hate those things, okay? But I gotta tell you about these things, okay? Designed by our local architect, John Bond, okay? And they represent the history of Claremont. If you look at the one on the right, the roof line, that is the roof line, it's a hip roof of the early houses of Claremont, harkening to our architectural the early architecture of Claremont. The perforated panels, okay, they create not only wind going through, but dappled sunlight, which represents the dappled sunlight that comes through our coast live oaks. And then the cement underneath is the same color as whatever the structure is to reflect that up. And they all have solar panel lights. And even the small ones, you go, what is it? Well, they all turn, so you can turn those in the sun to protect you wherever you're sitting. And then, of course, in some places, they have Route 66 on it too, along Foothill Boulevard. So they really do represent the history and pay homage to the history of Claremont. And also, because also on the panels and the different geometric shapes, who does that remind you of? Famous artist in Claremont? Carl Benjamin. That's what it's taken from Carl Benjamin's work. And the colors too. And then again, the roof, even though it's a hip roof, it also represents the mountains behind us too. Now, why do I know all that? Because I'm the Architectural Commission and I approved it. So there. And today we have these historic signs along the route. I think there's 11, 12 of them along our 2.2 miles. And again, arguably the most beautiful 2.2 miles of all Route 66. And this sign, this is a sign, Claremont Heritage purchased 4 of these and then made a presentation to the city to put up, and Adam's going to have them put up along Foothill Boulevard so people come in, they know this is Route 66 in Claremont. And also Adam's going to do pavement markings of Route 66, so when you're coming in from either direction, okay, you know that it's Route 66. So now you go through St. Louis, Joplin, Missouri, and Oklahoma City looks mighty pretty. You'll see Amarillo, Gallup, New Mexico, Flagstaff, Arizona, don't forget Winona, the Eagles didn't. Kingman, Barstow, San Bernardino. Once you get hit to this timely tip, when you make that California trip, get your kicks on Route 66. That's right. So, the Centennial Commission has a website you can visit. And I'm going to put those up next so you can see those, but that's it, and thank you. So that's the Centennial Commission's website at the top, Route 66 California Association. And then Claremont Heritage also has a whole page where you can see many of these photos again.
I worked at Orange Julius.
That was a Julius.
Thank you, John. It was a great presentation, and my only critique would be that you spoke the lyrics, you didn't sing them for us. So, but you can have another shot at it here. I don't doubt that. Next up, and third in our list of sage speakers for tonight's meeting is the, coming in from, if he actually flew in for this meeting, I really appreciate him coming out here. His name is Brian Brown, and he is going to enlighten us on the aspects of Route 66 beyond California. And he's got a lot of great information for us here, but he has real pivotal information as it relates to Claremont here. Please give a warm welcome to Brian Brown.
Thank you. Everyone here okay?
Yeah.
So my name is Brian Brown. I'm from Oklahoma City. This is now my fourth trip to Southern California in the last 2 years. About 3 years ago, we had this crazy idea that we didn't know when the hell we were on Route 66 in our own city, because Oklahoma City has 6 different alignments of Route 66. So that sort of led to this strange conversation about the fact that this lack of legibility about when you're on Route 66 was missing the point. You know, people, they didn't appreciate what was there. And some communities obviously do a better job of recognizing their heritage than others. So that sort of was the genesis to this project, the Route 66 Centennial Monument Project. This was you're seeing Lucille's here, which is a major landmark on Route 66. This was the first installation in the project. It is an official project of the U.S. Route 66 Centennial Commission. But this was actually kicked off because of passion. You know, I work for a small business, and there was a banker who got wind of this idea. And as we were trying to work through the political landmines of our own state to get recognized as a state Centennial Commission project, the bank said, hey, wait, we want to be a part of this. You know, what is this? We want to help. So they had 12 communities along the route, and they ended up putting the first 6 monuments in. But they chose, the CEO of the bank chose locations that he thought were iconic, and we're going to discuss some of those as I go through the presentation here. Route 66 is America's Main Street. You know, for everyone that imagines what America is, European travelers, Asian travelers, other Americans, it encapsulates all these different eco-regions. It goes from cities, it goes through the plains, it goes through the desert Southwest all the way to the coast. So one of the things that the aspiration behind this project is to connect these diverse communities of Route 66. So we're doing this through two things. This placemaking monument that you see that's going up. And by the way, thanks for the reminder that Claremont's monument is going to be at that intersection of Indian Hill and Foothill Boulevard. And it is being fabricated right now and will be probably installed in early June. So once we started thinking about this project and ideating on how we could impact communities, the first thing we thought of was that this would be a massive art installation. You think back to the WPA era, those major art installations that we still see remnants of throughout the United States during the Great Depression, which was ironically very near the founding of the Mother Road. So this will be one of the largest art installations in American history once it's complete. So whenever you start something, you have to have someone who has the vision to be first. And when we met with the city officials of Azusa, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, they said, we want to be first in California. So this was the first installation in California that you see right front and center there, which happened in January of this year.
Everything from A to Z in the USA.
So, and I'm going to get to the artist in a second. This was conceived, it was a collaboration that we had with a very well-known public artist whose work is magnificent. He works in the steel medium. But the concept of having a consistent monument was kind of a bizarre thing for Route 66, because there's so much regional variety. People like Missouri had its blue signs, and other states had brown signs, and what this project is not replacing is regionalism and the quirkiness and the character that's unique to each of these regions. What this is doing is it's creating a singular monument that has subtle variations by state, very subtle. You'll notice the initial in the shield face is one of those variations. The others you can't really see from this rendition, but the medallion, which covers the junction of the upper and lower pole, has the official centennial, Route 66 centennial monument for each state. But what really makes this different is we're telling these stories. We're telling these stories as they're told for these communities, and we're connecting these communities. Small towns, big cities, urban neighborhoods within cities. So the website component is a major part of this project. It's at least 50%. So we have this 16-foot tall steel, double-sided placemaking monument. But on top of that, when you go to a monument, if you want to get your selfie, there's a QR sticker on the pole that takes you straight to that monument destination page. So instead of it just being some sort of symbolic thing, we're actually creating this powerful narrative that connects these communities and really celebrates the diversity of Route 66 across the United States. I mentioned before that this is an official project of the Route 66 Centennial Commission for the United States. It was created by Congress. It's through the National Park Service. This project was not funded. It was approved, but not funded. But it is the only monument that is being created for all of Route 66. So this gentleman, Stan, we were talking about architects earlier, and I'm sure John would be really interested to meet Stan. Stan started off his career as an architect, but I think he just finally decided to just let his AIA membership lapse, and he just focused on art. He just does art. And his work is all over the world. These are just some of his pieces. The Skydance Bridge that you see on the far right is probably the most iconic piece of architecture in Oklahoma City. That actually is a pedestrian bridge that goes over Interstate 40. But he's been on the cover of Vogue magazine. His furniture that he makes is collected around the world. He's done all sorts of just really interesting public art pieces. So we started off with a napkin drawing of this monument concept, and then he rendered this just beautiful, classic, kind of homage to Americana, you know, simple, beautiful design that speaks to our heritage and our patriotism and sort of it evokes the past. It makes us think about this centennial. So part of this publishing project is we've hired Robert Reed, who's a passionate fan of Route 66 himself. We mentioned Emmys and PBS. He's won 6. He was a PBS producer. He's written for every travel publication on the planet. He's lived overseas. He's also done his own sojourns across Route 66. I mean, he's written things about overland journeys in Siberia. And he's just a very fascinating person. So he agreed to be a partner in this project with us, and he's who will be helping collaborate with Claremont. And after the presentation, there's a lot that is going to be covered on that webpage for Claremont. But he will be part of building out the rest of these destination pages for the rest of the project as we go along. So right now we have 25 of these installed across the United States, and we have another 20 or so in fabrication, one of which is Claremont's. But you know, there are some of these installations that really stand out. And so we talked about, you know, we didn't want to commercialize this project. We wanted to kind of keep the purity of the art aesthetic and make sure that the narratives are accurate reflections of history, both good and bad. So the Threet Filling Station is one of those landmarks. So we said cities, towns, districts, and landmarks. That's where we're putting the monuments. The Threet Filling Station is about 35, 40 miles to the north and east of Oklahoma City on the Ozark Trail, which, I mean, predated Route 66. It's now Route 66. But it was, as John mentioned, it was known as the Ozark Trail. So this filling station predates Route 66. And this was the first African-American-owned filling station on Route 66. So we're in a period of Jim Crow. It wasn't exactly safe for some travelers traveling across Route 66. This was a place where people were welcome. You could get gas, you could get food. They made hamburgers there. They had a medic on staff. It served as a Greyhound bus station. They also had a baseball diamond behind the filling station where people played baseball. They had Negro League baseball games here at this location. So I mentioned the bank earlier. The banker said, so this was the first one. He said, we've got to put it there. So this is on the National Register of Historic Places, Threet Station. This photograph you see was from the dedication event where the members of the surviving members of the Threet families flew in from all across the United States. We had thousands of people at this thing, so national media, PBS and Chicago Tribune, you think of it, any major newspaper has covered the Threet filling station. Now that you've heard about it, you'll probably hear about it more going forward. And so I say all this to say that when you go to the website, which is route66monuments.com, I do encourage you to go and read these individual narratives about each one of these communities. This was at our Azusa dedication in January. I was told that they were at a conference tonight, so they weren't able to join us, but this was a great event. I was really thrilled that Corey and others from Claremont were able to attend, and John and Mayor Stark were there. It was great to see them and meet them in person at this event. Went off without a hitch. It was great. Now this was a really fun one. I don't know how many of you have been to Newberry Springs or know where it is. Yeah. Oh, John raised his hand. Okay, a few hands go up. This is like a quirky, fun. In fact, the story that I could get off track, so I'll try not to, but this took place on May 2nd, what you see here. This was the dedication of the second California monument in the project. And we thought there was plenty of time for their event, which was on May 2nd, during the fabrication process. But we went through, the permitting lasted a little bit longer than some of the other permitting things that we've dealt with, and we've been in Illinois and we've been everywhere. So the monument actually went in the ground on Friday, May 1st, at 3 p.m. All sorts of strings had to be pulled to get permits and engineering documents approved and so forth. But you really can't tell from this photograph, but this was their big birthday bash. So here I was on Friday in the middle of the Mojave Desert. This facility you see is the barn, which is it's an institution on Route 66. It's a bar. We also have good food. You know, there's karaoke nights. It's a community hub. There really aren't very many businesses. There's a gas station. There's the Baghdad Cafe, which has a historical reference from independent film. It's now a closed cafe, but people from all over the world still stop to get their photos there. I think it was a German film that did Baghdad Cafe. But what you don't see from this photo is the thousands of people who attended this event that just sprung up overnight, a tent city with, I mean, it was like you were at Coachella with all the vendors and stuff, but it was a wonderful celebration, and thanks to San Bernardino County for coming through in the end for us to make sure we got all those permits through. It was a great event. This is an example of an urban installation. So this is Uptown OKC, which is kind of a funky urban neighborhood. It's where the citadels of live music that you might, you know, the Tower Theater being sort of the focus, but you know, the Blue Note, which is where the Flaming Lips started, and there's all sorts of jazz, you know, history in the neighborhood, multiple music venues, and you can get a tattoo. And body piercing as well. But so this says Uptown OKC. So I think what's significant about that is that Oklahoma City has now purchased another 4 monuments that they're going to use to designate historically relevant parts of the city. One of those is the city's Asian district, which really began to flourish in the 1970s. And it's very near Uptown, actually. It's within a mile. But it's the historical nexus of the Vietnamese community, which is, it's now multiple Asian communities that call that home. But, so the city is going to put one to designate that neighborhood. It's the only other Asian community on Route 66, besides Chinatown, Los Angeles. Another one that they're putting in is Northwest 39th Street, which is the historic LGBTQ district in Oklahoma City. And, that will be an interesting story to tell as well, the history of that. And it's the only LGBTQ district on Route 66 besides West Hollywood. So there's some interesting things, but imagine you're driving from Chicago and you're on this website and you're reading about these really interesting neighborhoods, and it really informs what you want to do. And so the goal of this project is to, you know, whether you're in Lexington, Illinois, Countryside, Galena, Gallup, New Mexico, that you're going to get the flavor of what that is. And speaking of Gallup, this was the dedication that occurred in November of last year. And how many of you anyone been to Gallup? Oh, quite a few people. That is a very unique place. So I've been there twice. I did get to stay in El Rancho both times, which was cool. But if you are familiar with it, this is a very significant place where they chose to locate this monument. This is the cultural center. It's right across the street from the downtown district where you have the jewelry stores and the art galleries and all of the things that make that such a unique and interesting place to visit. And I encourage you to read the article that Robert put together. He always finds these really unique facts, like the filming of Superman, where there's a reference to Lois Lane. So any one of these monument destination pages we'll make sure that we pull out what is unique and worthy of visiting. I mean, the whole point of this project is the next 100 years of Route 66. And Daryl really wanted me to mention that really day one of the anniversary starts November 11th. And what we're talking about is the future of Route 66. Now, I apologize, we weren't able to get the audio to sync properly, so you're going to be forced to hear the audio from my laptop. But this is a little video that we put together for one of the dedications. Well, now I have a surprise. I have a very special guest that I would like to ask to come up and speak about what Route 66, the present and future of it is, and what it means to him. I'd like to introduce Randall Lewis.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Randall Lewis. Brian, congratulations. What an incredible project. The entire United States should be grateful to you for what you're doing. And thank you to Active Claremont for putting this on. I did not know much about Active Claremont, but our family joined about an hour ago, so we look forward to I'm here tonight with my son, Riley. We're not like the Wheelers who are sixth generation. We're newcomers. I'm second generation. Riley's third generation, and his three kids rank fourth generation. So we care a lot about the past, but we care a lot about the future, and I hope we have a fifth and sixth generation in Claremont also. I was asked just to give a quick few reflections to sort of humanize it. What did Route 66 mean to our family, to me specifically? What did it mean to our business? And then what are some thoughts? I do a lot of work, especially with Councilwoman Finley, who's here from Duarte, trying to get involved. How do we build great Southern California communities? And so I want to also start by just saying, Charles Phoenix, thank you. We hit the jackpot when we moved to Claremont. So thank you so much for joining us. And Joe, thank you for your service. We're looking forward to the show. And of course, John, you were incredible, except I wish you had sung the words. Maybe at the end we can get you to sing the words. So I'm just going to talk briefly about what it meant to me growing up here and living here, what it meant to our company, and then sort of just some thoughts on the urban side of it. And I should say, for me, Route 66 Foothill Boulevard was like the Mississippi River. It was the corridor for transportation in my life. It was the place for commerce in our life. It was the place to eat. When John showed the Orange Julius, when John showed Griswolds, and John showed Wolves, who could have happened to us. Those are all the places I've grown up on. Those are the places I continue to eat at. So Foothill Boulevard was amazing. Our first experience as the family with Foothill Boulevard came through my grandparents. And I know this will sound bizarre, but my grandfather was in Torrance and had asthma, and his doctor said, you need to go somewhere where there's clean air, and so they had to move to Fontana. but in the late 1940s and early 1950s, Fontana had good clean air. So we always would drive out Route 66 to go to Fontana to see our grandparents, and we'd see these vast stretches of property. But it was a great drive, and sometimes on Sunday afternoons our family would take drives down Route 66. Route 66 also was just the place where growing up, I did all my shopping. I mean, even now my wife mainly goes to Trader Joe's and Sprouts. Even now, our daughter goes to get coffee. Riley and his wife live right below Route 66, and his wife loves it because she can walk to the shops on Foothill Boulevard. So, I mean, Route 66 was so important to us. As a business, Route 66 was also very important to us. My parents' first office was in a house on Woodbine Drive, but we worked out of the garage. They quickly outgrew that and put their first office on Route 66 in the building that used to be Inca Trails, and it used to be Pong. I'm not even sure what's there now. So our first real office was Route 66. I mentioned that we drove out to Fontana and saw these vast pieces of land. And one of them was in Rancho Cucamonga, and we ended up buying 1,300 acres on Route 66 and started working on a development called Terra Vista, which is almost done, and a build out. It'll be a community of about 25,000 homes and schools and churches and lots of stuff. So Route 66 was enormously important to us. And I think our family over the years, we've probably done a dozen projects on Route 66, or maybe 100 feet off of Route 66. Even our main office that we've been in for 40 years isn't on Route 66 in Upland. It's about 100 yards above Route 66. And we always tell people, go to Foothill Boulevard in the mountain, and you'll see our four office buildings right there. So Route 66 really meant a lot to us as a business also. I just wanted to end by talking about it. We get involved, our company's involved at any given time in probably 30 or 35 cities throughout California and Nevada. And one of the things we notice is how important it is to preserve the soul of your communities. It's something I think we need to thank Corey, if he's still here, and Ed, if he's still here, and Adam and your whole staff, and Claremont Heritage, the work John, you do, and everyone else. We've got to preserve what's good in our communities. We've got to share and communicate it, and we've got to build it and enhance it. We see that something like Route 66 is great for branding, it's great for building community spirit, and it's great for letting our children and our grandchildren know this was what Claremont was like before, this is what we want to keep, and this is the Claremont of the future. So on behalf of all the Lewis family, we hit the jackpot when we moved to Claremont in 1955, just like Charles. And I hit the jackpot getting to go, as I said, to Orange Julius and other places. We're proud of our relationship in Claremont, and we look forward to another 70 years in Claremont. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much for that. That was, all of your acknowledgments of the city representative saved me some time in acknowledging me as well, but very appropriate. And thank you to all our speakers for coming out tonight, not only for coming to present and share with us, but for what you do, as you alluded to. It's just, it's very, it's just critical to our community. Thank you very much. So now I get to the point where we just have some partying shots. This month is our, we have a, coming up, we have a fundraiser. Actually, it's our fundraising month for Active Claremont. We enjoy putting these presentations on, but there is we're a nonprofit. We do have some expenses for the room, etc. So we have a fundraiser coming up at the Claremont's Packing House Wines down in the old packing house. And it's at from 5 to 7. And there's hors d'oeuvres, there's pours of wine, and then we have a silent auction with a wide variety of pretty nice things there going up for auction. So we have that, and then again on Monday, the city's putting on their Memorial Day celebration at Oak Park Cemetery. Active Claremont will be there representing and bringing a forward plug. Hopefully you can get out to that. It's a nice small town event, and I enjoy going to that as well. So just thought I'd mention that. So, hello?
We're gonna go to Q&A?
Yeah, I have a little bit of time here, probably 5-10 minutes. It's just going to be very informal. If anybody has any questions they'd like to throw out to either Charles or John or Brian, I'll take raised hands here.
I've got one, Charles. You know, we have a home here in Santa Fe and a home in Santa Fe and a home here. But every time we come down from Santa Fe, we enjoy staying in Williams. And it's very much what you would call a Route 66 town, more so than Gallup. Is there a reason on choosing Gallup over Williams?
Are you talking to me?
Oh, yeah, well, you might, either one of you.
You know what, I think our Route 66 expert would be better to answer that than me.
Who would be, I'm sorry.
Brian.
Brian.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So the question is, you know, when you're driving down when you're driving Route 66, you come into Gallup. Gallup has a little bit, you know, the El Rancho is defunct. And we enjoy staying there also because you see people all over the world there. But going into Williams turns into a Route 66 town. I mean, it's got the cars, it's got the restaurants, it's got the whole atmosphere of Route 66, a total celebration. Was there a reason between Gallup and Williams? Can you answer that?
Well, that is an individual decision. I certainly didn't choose Gallup over Williams. Williams is amazing. I just wanted to highlight a few of the installations that we've done so far that are of significance. I got my first track.
Yeah, the
First one,
Yeah.
17 years old, I got a track.
Yeah, no, it was a neat little town.
It's cool.
Did a town called Claremont in Oklahoma get a monument as well?
They did, yes.
Okay, they beat us to the punch. Is theirs already up?
They were the
Second and third.
dedication, the second installation.
And then Amboy, I mean, off the beaten path towns like Amboy are even getting one. Is that
Well,
correct?
Amboy, not yet. We'll see about Amboy. But definitely, I think you would qualify something.
Here's a question.
Two questions. One question for you, Mr. Brown, and one for Mr. Lewis. What's coming up as far as installations on our Route 66 here, LA County, San Bernardino County? I know you got some things in the cooker.
So
And
Claremont,
then-
Claremont, obviously. And then Upland, I believe is getting a couple of monuments. And we've heard from, I don't want to steal people's thunder, I'd rather,
Right.
several other communities from San Bernardino all the way to Pasadena.
Okay, now I'm gonna put Mr. Lewis on the hot seat. As far as Route 66, from Santa Monica all the way through San Bernardino County, anything exciting from a Route 66 standpoint? We were at the wonderful Victoria Gardens today. Unbelievable, beautiful. It just gets better and better. It's just, we're so lucky to have all these foothill communities. But what do you see going forward? Are there any major developments that you're seeing on Route 66 that, from your perspective, or Riley's perspective, that is exciting?
The way the growth has gone in Southern California, it's been moving from west to east. And so it keeps going, so that's a great question. I think you're gonna see continued development on Route 66. And I think one of the neat things that's happened in Claremont, in so many communities, when an interstate comes in, it destroys the downtown or destroys everything. And Claremont has survived that, Glendora has survived that, Duarte has too. I think we'll continue to see our existing communities thrive along Route 66. And I think you're gonna see a lot of new growth as the world moves further east.
John Scott and I, we drove through Azusa last weekend, the weekend before. We were in shock. Just absolutely looks beautiful. Looks absolutely beautiful. Now, I've never seen it look better. So it's great to see the excitement on Route 66. And does anybody else have any questions? Oh, we got one back here.
I can yell it out.
That's okay.
Mr. Brown, not holding you.
Thank you. David from Claremont. Not holding you to record on this, but an estimated cost of the monument, if we're trying to figure out budgeting and location and things, as to how much we're dreaming for?
Could we take it up after the?
Certainly.
Any other questions other than cost? Okay, everybody's speechless. Okay, you guys did great. Here you go, John.
All right. We do, so as for our upcoming speaker series, hearkening off to June, I'm going to let Corey elaborate a little bit upon what that's going to entail.
Thank you, John. So we've been working really hard this year. Those of you who have attended most of our meetings this year know we've really ratcheted up the quality and the types of presentations we've had. And certainly this was stellar here tonight, and certainly a surprise having Randall Lewis here. I didn't expect that he was part of the presentation, so that was really great. Really appreciate it. But for next month, we also have a really great speaker. We're going to have our district attorney, Nathan Hockman. So that's pretty huge. So I hope we'll see many of you back for that presentation. And then, of course, later on this year, there are going to be some elections. So we're going to have, school board candidates forum, city council candidates forum, and then Ed and I are working on possibly seeing if we can get our county assessor out to one of the meetings, and/or our county sheriff, Sheriff Luna. So again, we're working to bring some really great speakers, and so hopefully that's a motivation to have you all join and join us here in the future. So thank you for that, John.
Thank you, Corey. My sidebar note on that, actually, we're going to be in another room that's a little bit smaller, that's filling up quickly. And when that happens, we usually morph into members only or special guests. So now would be a great time, like Randall did, to actually join up with Jennifer or Vicky at the entry table. So if you're interested in joining up, you could also leave your name there if you don't want to join Active Claremont, but no guarantee of entry to that or any subsequent.
How much does it cost a year?
You know, why don't you tell them?
$10. It's the best deal in 10.
American money, $10. Free DoubleTree cookies, coffee, entertainment, and on and on. So we have a lot of things calendarized throughout the year, and I'm not going to go on ad nauseum, but I do want to thank you for coming out. It's been a true pleasure here tonight, and make sure you drive home safely, whether you take Route 66 or not. Thank you.